Durham Region.
Rogers TV Durham would like to acknowledge that we are on the treaty and traditional territory of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation of the Mississauga Nation. May we respectfully honor the knowledge and understanding of the Indigenous stewards of these ancestral lands and ensure that the voices of the First Peoples are represented in our collections, programs, and services.
The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers nor Rogers TV.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talk Politics. I'm Debra Hutchison. Our guest this week is Clarington Mayor Adrian Foster. Good to see you again.
Deb, it is always good to see you. Thanks for having me here.
Thanks for taking time out of a very, very busy schedule. Thanks for taking time with us. So much happening in Clarington. Let's start with the South Bowmanville Recreation Center. What's new on that front?
So I'm going to say finally, council batted this back and forth and has for a number of years, but we've given direction for staff to move forward, put a facility in place, not all that we would want. So we had hoped to an aquatic center as well as, indoor ice. The cost of that is at this point in time is just not doable. It would be like maxing out your line of credit and every single credit card to get there. So instead, we're putting some gym space in, which is desperately needed. In total, we're looking for 3 outdoor ice rinks. Fingers are crossed. If you looked at Oshawa's the results, what they thought they were doing with some rec facilities, the costs have just been skyrocketing. So hopefully this is going to come in close to the budget that we've got allocated for it.
How long has Clarington been working on this project?
Oh gosh, I'm going to suggest 4 years. And if you could roll the clock back, had council, this is not staff, this is council, had council made a decision a few years ago, we would be cutting a ribbon on something that would likely have cost less. But the pandemic and prices during the pandemic, there are always factors that weigh into decisions. But if I could go back and do something differently, I might on this one.
Yeah, I mean, and the timing, you probably began just before COVID discussing this project. And who would have thought that the costs, the labor costs, the, just the material costs, how everything had mushroomed over COVID. Just the timing couldn't have been worse, really.
Yes, truthfully. So, an easy number is we saw the cost for this based on what we thought. So, I mean, you make these decisions, and until you actually hire someone, you don't know what the price tag is going to be, but roughly triple the cost of what we anticipated. So again, as I said, if you can imagine maxing out your line of credit, maxing out all of your credit cards, had we moved ahead with what we thought we were going to do, we would have no financial capacity to do any, and when I say anything, anything else. And that's not just rec. That's if something went oops in the night, it was going to be very problematic.
Mm-hmm. So where do we stand now? What's the next step?
Well, so staff will go out. We'll get some, some plans drawn up, some engineering. We'll get budgets that need to come back to council. So we've got an envelope, and now what we do is we keep fingers crossed that the plans and the budget that comes forward is within or at least close enough to that envelope that we can move forward. And the price escalations have stopped, or at least slowed down, I suppose. So I'm confident that we're going to move forward.
You know, if there's one of the lessons of COVID was how important recreational facilities are and the ability to get out and keep moving. Right?
You know, absolutely, and even open space parks. One of our challenges with changes that are coming down to planning is a lessened requirement for developers to provide for parks. We're bringing more people closer together. We need more, not less. So moving ahead, that's going to be another issue that we need to deal with, and other challenges on the budget that didn't exist a couple of years ago.
Well, speaking of budget, of course, budgets are always a challenge. Let's talk about that. I'm sure the budget process has begun. Yes?
It has. This year is very different across many municipalities. So as you know, Clarington, we are one of the strong mayors, if you will. So I've got to start working out or doing something to work on my strong mayor powers. So for strong mayors, yeah, that's it, right? I can make some grunting noises and pump myself up here. But the budget is the mayor's budget, which is interesting. We're going through hoops to ensure that council still has the ability to bring forward amendments that they can agree to or not agree to. So with the strong mayors, I'm going to suggest a little bit awkward. So I know a huge amount of work has been done on the budget. I've had some very high level discussion with that. I think council has consensus around about a 4.2% increase, and then again high level, the rec facility would be something in the area of 1.6 on top of that. So separating the two. So, but I've still yet to see the detailed documents.
The strong mayor powers. What really does that mean to you, and do you foresee yourself ever having to use it?
So the answer to the first question is we are still figuring that out, myself and staff, to understand what the limitations or not are. Some of it is pretty broad. That if I disagree with a decision of council and view that decision of council not to be aligned with provincial priorities, I can veto. Having said that, I still need 2 councillors to support a veto. So in Clarington, we are 7. Normally, you would need 4. So we move, including myself. So we move from needing 4 to needing 3. Could I anticipate having to exercise those powers? Yes. Do I want to? And the answer is no. The point of having 7 of us around the table is to have different points of view, to work together, hopefully as a team. And I'm not sure that trying to overturn a majority of council is a great basis to form a team and move forward into the future. But something as simple as I can force things on an agenda. So we have rules around what's allowed on the agenda and not. So we came up with, okay, I'm putting it on the agenda. There was something that we had to deal with sooner than later. We could have just suspended the rules or just done it this way. And we didn't know if I needed a seconder. So the question is, can I just do that? Do I, what is the amount of permission? How does democracy work? So it's interesting times.
It's almost changing the way democracy works. And some would say strong mayor powers are not democratic. What do you think?
So I think there's a potential for a couple of different things. So yes, I understand the need for them. So a frustration of my colleagues who are also mayors is the mayors are far more engaged and involved on a full-time basis than the vast majority of councillors, and I mean that across Durham Region. So for most of the councillors, it's a part-time job, and we have a depth of knowledge because we are with staff doing this all the time that council may not. So it is frustrating sometimes that my vote is the same as anybody else's vote, and frequently a councillor that has missed any number of meetings, has the same weight in making a decision, as the mayor does. On the flip side, mayors are being put in a place because it is my budget. People who don't like the increase, despite the fact that I'm looking for council to support this, people will blame the mayors. So the mayors are now on the hot seat for everything and anything in the budget, and where we may need to exercise a veto, that would, to my mind, be in situations where something is politically difficult. Well, now the mayors are in charge of doing all of the politically difficult stuff, so it could pose challenges for mayors looking for re-election next time. They could be held to task for doing the right thing, or held to task for things that all of council actually agreed on.
Yeah, and the right thing isn't always necessarily the easy thing.
Nor is the right thing necessarily the politically. There's a huge difference between what is the politically correct answer and what is the right answer.
Okay, let's move on to, we've actually got just another couple minutes before we need to go to break, but I want to ask you what's new on the nuclear front. You said you just got back from Vienna. What were you doing there?
So I chair a group called the Canadian Association of Nuclear Host Communities, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's communities that host nuclear industry, nuclear facilities. We were invited to Vienna last year and back again this year to participate on a global basis. We have created a global partnership. I'm grinning a little bit. Global in our case is North America. It's Canada, the U.S., and a very diverse European group to share experiences, to share concerns, to have an input in terms of things that the IAEA is doing. So the IAEA for the last year, the first time in 60 years of their existence, reaching out and understanding the need for communities to be at the table. To give you an idea of the scope of the file and why it's so important, that Darlington alone, so if you look at those 4 new small modular reactors and the refurbishment of Darlington, Darlington by itself is having a 100 billion, and that's a B, a $100 billion impact on Canada's GDP, mostly here in Ontario. Spread that to the impact that a possible refurbishment at Pickering, new build and ongoing refurbishment at Bruce, billions of dollars beyond anyone's ability to truly comprehend. And then you get into the whole issue of there is a nuclear renaissance globally going on. There is no path towards net zero in terms of carbon without some engagement of additional nuclear power generation.
So this trip then to Vienna, what was your number one takeaway from your meetings there?
So the number one, we had the great fortune to sit with the Director General, which is a big deal. This is the guy in charge of the entire IAEA. In that meeting and dialogue with him, he would like to see our global partnership become a true global partnership, so including Asia, South America, Latin America, Africa, that host communities across the world are at the table. So we started this partnership as a result of that invitation from IAEA. There had been no thought of doing this at all, so that started a year ago. We've made significant progress on that, but the IAEA is recognizing the need and the value of having host communities at the table, sharing their concerns, their victories, their less than victories on that. Very satisfying that we are getting that global recognition.
Okay, and on that, I'm going to stop you there. We are going for a quick break. More of our conversation with Clarington Mayor Adrian Foster after this. Don't go away.
Game TV's Watch and Win contest is back with over $75,000 in cash prizes. Tune in to Jeopardy weeknights at 8:30. Spot the code word, then head over to GameTVContests.com to enter. With a new code word every weeknight, that's 35 chances to enter. Don't just watch the winners, be a winner with Game TV's Watch and Win contest. Contest runs October 16th to December 1st. Visit GameTVContests.com for more info.
Hi, I'm Constable Darrell Rice, Durham Regional Police Service. Tune into Rogers Cable 10 to watch me on Seniors Talk with DRPS, where we'll talk about all kinds of amazing information and community programs for you, our seniors in Durham Region.
On the next episode of Cinema Scene, Dave Voigt of In the Seats is back, and we're talking about biopics and bye 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 to Best Buy.
You're watching Rogers TV.
And welcome back to Talk Politics. Our guest this week is Clarington Mayor Adrian Foster. Let's talk about the homeless and affordable housing issue. Clarington is not immune. Unfortunately, no place is immune.
No, and I think anyone that thinks that they are, or anyone believes that there are easy solutions, there are not. We are seeing not a lot, but we are seeing individuals asleep on benches, sheltering in vestibules that we did not see a number of years ago. If you look at what's going on in Oshawa, and that wave will be moving west. So the problem's not going away. It's a problem that Clarington is going to have to deal with. Anyone that was following Durham Region, we just voted to open a homeless shelter in Whitby, and that was the most contentious issue that we have seen in years.
Why do you feel it was so contentious? Now, did the region do the right thing?
So yes. The region did. There is an immediate need. I understand the concern of residents in the area, but the reality is people need somewhere to stay. Winter is coming. Unless you want people dying on the streets, literally dying on the streets. How we got to this situation, and it's a global issue. It baffles me a little bit around the world. So. I'm reading that if you've heard of the favelas in Brazil, so these are the shanty towns, houses made out of corrugated iron that shouldn't be there. People can't afford to live in the favelas. So in Brazil, they've got a huge unsheltered population. The U.S., of course, if you take a look, Great Britain. How this happened, I don't know. Difficult decisions, and we need to deal with it. You're talking about the affordable housing. The same thing with affordable housing, and in the so I chair the Durham Region nonprofit housing corp. An issue there is a number of our tenants don't simply need low cost housing. They need wraparound services. There are some high needs individuals because of addictions issues, because of mental health issues, that simply finding somewhere for someone to live and throwing them into an apartment isn't a solution. And we're not there as a society, federally, provincially, locally, to have those integrated systems in place to support the people who need the support.
And wherever we end up finding accommodation for these people, they need easy access, as you said, to the social services as well. If they can't get to the social services, they're not getting the help that they need.
No,
to put them in an industrial area away from everything,
yes,
that doesn't help either.
So no, I mean there are a couple of problems. So the suggestion is tuck people away, and to a degree, can we can we pretend that the problem doesn't exist, perhaps by doing this? And there will be pushback on the saying, well, yeah, but I don't want it anywhere near my house or near my business. But they need access to the services. They need access to public transit. We can't create a situation where you've got a group of individuals that can now be victimized by criminal elements. So one of the worst things you do is push them aside and not pay any attention and don't give them the supports. Someone that is recovering from addiction, as an example, needs to have the supports, and quite frankly needs to be taken away of the environment that led them to become or maintain their addictions. If you live in the same environment, it's going to be incredibly difficult for folks to change, if not impossible. So it's there are no easy solutions, and difficult decisions have to be made.
I know you also wanted to talk about a lack of housing for refugees.
So
it's not just a Toronto issue.
No, it's frankly the same issue. On that rental housing does not exist, low cost, and we were talking about the pandemic earlier with cost escalation. Low cost housing is incredibly difficult. But Durham Region, I believe the last time I talked to Chair Henry, about $20 million has been spent housing refugees. And again, we cannot simply leave these people on the streets. So you hear the challenge in Toronto. We've been talking with the federal government saying you need to help us. The initial reaction from the feds is housing is a local issue. Well, we can't control where the refugees are going. So this is adding on to concerns that we have with a lack of housing, period. So discussion, dialogue, the feds need to step up. They need to help us with that. And 20 million that's a big surprise when you don't have that anticipated in a budget.
Yeah, when we spoke with Chair Henry about this issue, the one thing he said was that he has been speaking with the federal government. He says they are listening, but he's not sure that they're hearing. Do you agree?
I might get in trouble here, but the further up the ladder you go, the more difficult it, I think, is to express some of the more granular issues. So the federal government can be, from a municipal perspective, can be very difficult to engage. They've got a great, I guess, to be fair, it's a big country with so much diversity and such a diversity of issues and problems. And that's as fair as I'm going to be. They need to listen to us.
Okay. Let's also talk about some recent calming measures. Council recently voted in favor of lowering speeds in school zones from 50 to 30 kilometers an hour. Why was that necessary?
Well, so a couple of reasons for doing that. We are hearing that the number one election issue in the last municipal election and the election before that was how poorly drivers are behaving, and I'm including you and I in that, because we all find ourselves in a hurry. We are looking at the automated speed enforcement, the likelihood of having far more radar cameras up. Is coming. There are some issues that the province needs to deal with on that. So I can see us putting significantly more around school areas. And if you can't agree that you need to slow down where children are going to school, I'm not sure we're going to agree on a whole lot of anything. I'll put that challenge out there. The other challenge is the cameras are identified. They're static. There are warnings up. You put signs up. If I warn you and warn you and warn you and warn you that you're going to get a ticket and you still get a ticket, I have a very limited degree of sympathy for that. So part of the 30K is getting people used to the idea that they need to slow down. When those cameras come out, they will likely be out in front of schools and parks, areas where people are more likely to get hurt than not. So this is a sort of a heads up, folks, look what's coming. I will tell you, in Vienna, the number of speed cameras there, I can't tell you how often the radio was chiming, speed camera ahead, speed camera ahead, speed camera ahead. And,
Really?
yeah, well, it's in Europe, it's not unusual. And I mean, the message is just, folks, follow the rules. So we're you can avoid a ticket by not breaking the law. I know that sounds a little bit odd, but what if we just don't break the law?
But I don't know what you find, but I find a lot of drivers, they can't even go down to 50, let alone 30. Yep. How confident are you that people are actually going to go 30 kilometers?
Yeah, so I will tell a story. My wife was in a car with a fellow from the Netherlands, and his dad, who lives here, was giving him a hard time because he was doing the speed limit. And his response was, "Look, if you drove the way in the Netherlands the way you do here, you would wake up one day and have a whole bunch of speeding tickets in the mailbox, and there's no fighting them. It's just, here's what you need to pay, and as a result of that, you don't speed." So given that I've heard from tens of thousands of people during a couple of campaigns that they are sick to death of this, we're going to have to learn. And when I say we, this includes me. Just take your foot off the gas. And if you think of school zones, this is a pretty short distance. You're not talking about slowing down for to 30 kilometers an hour. Right. For these massive. It's a tiny distance. It is the simplest. It's not even a courtesy. To make sure that kids are safe on that. And it's not going to make one iota of difference as to whether you're late for a meeting or not. I mean, work out the math.
Yeah. We have just about 40 seconds left. So I want to ask you, what are you looking forward to most in your position in the coming year?
Hey, so good news, GO Train. People don't understand how important what the province did on that, but we should, in the not too distant future, have some more firm timelines in the not too distant future on when those trains and stations are coming to Clarington. So I'm really looking forward to that. Okay.
And on that, believe it or not, we are out of time. Mayor Adrian Foster, always such a pleasure. Thank you so much for spending time with us today.
It is a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And thanks to all of our viewers for tuning in as well. Until next time, I'm Debra Hutchison. Bye for now.
Call the Rogers TV Viewer Response Line. Email us or connect with us on social media.
Long way from Nashville and Mama, I'll tell you that. Performed from Montreal to Boston to Los Angeles. But Toronto, that's my chosen home. Sure, when I'm walking down Yonge Street, I see some funny people who have the nerve to point the finger at me. And grin and smile and whisper. My song was #2 on local radio. Sold 10,000 in Toronto alone. Turned down Ed Sullivan because they asked me to remove my makeup. Wouldn't do American Bandstand because of their segregation policies. I was just being me. Never tried to explain myself to anyone. And besides, none of that to worry, Jackie, because I know I look good. Got a new way of loving, baby. Thought I want to teach it to you.
Jackie Shane was a pioneer transgender soul singer, a central figure in the Toronto R&B scene. She helped shape what we know as the Toronto sound.
After a night out with your friends, not having a plan for a safe ride home can leave you in a bad spot. You could end up riding in a police car, an ambulance, or a hearse. These unplanned modes of transportation can be a costly choice and do not take you home. Your plan could include designated